G'day ladies and gentlemen, Duckville here bringing you some StarCraft 2 action. It's been quite a while since I've done some casting, but hey, we're back. We're going to do a little bit more now. This is going to be a very, very long game, so please bear with me here. I'm told this particular replay is just fantastic to watch if you love a bit of macro style. It is one that I picked up from Reddit. And yeah, we're gonna jump straight into it. It is going to be a TvZ ladder match from the European server. Starting down the bottom right-hand side is one of the acquisitions of the FXO team. It is Slavik, who is previously known as Happy Zerg. He's going to be over here on Shakuris and doing the Zerg thing. Meanwhile, his opponent, one of the players who has been he's been in the news recently about just some changes regarding the team that he's been in, and also a few issues with payment for his prize money or something like that, something along those lines. Haven't been paying total attention to it just yet, but it is GoOdy. So the Panzer General, as he's affectionately referred to, is going to be up in the top left-hand side, and in fact he's going to be doing, well, it's not even a Macarax because it's not down at the natural, it's down at the, what is sometimes the third base for Terran, putting down a barracks down here, so he's going to put on a little bit of pressure right at the start, or he will be just sort of making Slavik a little bit worried about what's going on. But yeah, as I was saying, haven't really done too much lately. I've been playing a little bit of Heart of the Swarm, trying to beat Zerg. It's actually the flip side of what how my play normally is in Wings of Liberty, playing as a Protoss. Normally in Wings of Liberty I just die to every Terran, but in Heart of the Swarm I'm actually killing all the Terrans and then dying to all the Zergs. So Swarm Host is a pretty cool skill to have, but yeah, so I'm trying to work on that, trying to do things a bit differently there. Also, I've been doing a little bit of Dota 2 casting. You may have seen some of those matches on the channel. It was a real pleasure to cast some of those games for the GoOdy League. Hopefully more of that coming up. I've also been streaming quite a lot, so if you're into Dota 2 and you want to see some, I'm sort of commentating and trying to teach while I'm playing Dota 2, so if you want to see some of that, please jump onto the channel. It's twitch.tv/DuckvilleLol. But yeah, so we're going to get back into everything here. It looks as if GoOdy is going to attempt the bunker wall off here, and he's gotten it started. One bunker just up the top here. The drones are being pulled down by Slavik. He's going to take down one of the bunkers, and then the drones. There are quite a bunch of drones there. He's definitely taking this threat seriously, although perhaps that was a little bit of a mistake, given that GoOdy is not primarily known for his sort of buyer style, but Slavik does defend nicely. There's two Marines here along with a couple of SCVs. They're going to try and take that the Spine Crawler before it gets up, but they're not going to. And just for the moment, Slavik should be okay. He's got a couple of Lings that have popped out, and in fact he didn't, I don't know, I think maybe a little bit of an overcommittal with the Lings, but as they say, it's better to be safe than sorry, and you don't want to have three bunkers sitting here being completely obnoxious. So I suppose I'm okay with the fact that he's made, how many? 8 Lings. But meanwhile, back at home for GoOdy, getting his got his racks back up inside the main base here. He's also got a command center being built at the wall. A little bit of an older school style here, where you actually build this just at the top of the ramp to finish off the wall. I don't see it too often, but he has also picked up 2 of his gas, so he's definitely going to have the option of heading into his standard sort of mech play. Of course, GoOdy, a really signature mech player, and wow, he's going to grab a 3rd command center. So everyone will know GoOdy as the Panzer General, someone who will just go mech regardless. He's done it in TvT, TvZ, and even TvP from time to time. Although unfortunately not having a huge amount of success in the StarCraft 2 competition scene, he's still been one of the big names in the community. You'll definitely know this guy if you love your Terran play, because you'll say, you know what, I want to try some mech. If you want to watch some replays of someone meching, you're probably going to watch GoOdy. Someone you could also watch would be Australian player Ruined. He's also a fantastic mech player. But meanwhile, for Slavik, the FXO player from Ukraine, previously on Team Na'vi when they had a StarCraft 2 team, and when that disbanded, it was teamless for a little while, and not too long ago, it was picked up by FXO, and so he's part of their very much strengthening lineup with their new addition of Baby Knight and a couple of other guys there. They've been picking up some really good names, so hoping that FXO, the foreign component of the team is going to be able to do some really cool stuff, perhaps at MLG Dallas, which is coming up. We've got Baby Knight competing in there, and hopefully he can show everybody that he is a fantastic Protoss player, because I've been saying it for ages, and unfortunately he hasn't actually won anything yet, but he's definitely capable of it. Meanwhile, back to this game, GoOdy is going to switch across. He's going to go for standard Hellion Banshees. As we can see, a couple of Hellions just already popping out here for him. What he's going to want to do with this is just poke across the map, see if he can identify what his Zerg opponent is up to. He's going to need to clean out the watchtowers, which, as we can see, he is going to do right now. And he's going to want to just double check exactly what's going on. Is there a third base? Is it over here? Is a third base over here perhaps? Some people will sometimes take that. And, you know, what sort of units has he got to start off with? And for Slavik, of course, knowing that most players will generally want to try and do this kind of opening because it's still very strong despite the changes to Queen, he's going to get up a couple of Queens, going to make sure his creep spread is good. As we can see, he's already moving it across down to the natural expand. He's got his lair on the way as well, and a couple of gas already taken. In fact, all 4 gas, and he hasn't taken his third base, which is a little bit different, but he's just going to make sure that he is well protected against any of these sort of shenanigans with the Hellions. And of course, with the Banshees on the way, there could be a little bit of danger for him once he gets that up, but he does have a couple of Queens, as we saw. Meanwhile, for GoOdy, a couple of extra factories going up. He's also picking up an eBay and the Armory, so he's going to try and get those upgrades going as swiftly as possible. His 3rd and 4th gas down here at the natural expand are also going to be added on, and as we can see, he's just found out there's no third base just across here for Slavik just yet, so he won't be able to. You wouldn't say be able to do too much pressure, just simply because with the concentration of the Zerg forces here at the natural base, he's not really going to be able to push too far. But here comes Slavik just rolling down the ramp there with a lot of Zerglings. He's going to try and catch most of the Hellions before they can get any real damage done. GoOdy trying to get the Hellions out of danger behind the mineral line. Nice little place to have that, because it is sort of all bunched up, and the Lynx take a lot of damage and lose quite a lot of them. But they will take down all the Hellions. The Banshee is going to try and take down as many of those as she can, but not really going to get too far because of these Lings being so fast. Slavik, meanwhile, just roaming in here to the natural, going to take out maybe 1, 2 of these SCVs. Gets 1. Does he get 2? No. Only 1. I suppose it's not the most efficient trade, but I mean, they're just Lings. It's not too much of an issue. But he did get to have a look at exactly what's going on. So that there are a lot of SCVs here, of course, because of that triple command, meaning that GoOdy is able to just slam out that economy. Meanwhile, back at home for Slavik, the Spire is done. He's got some mutas out on the map. Now, this is a really nice response to try and deal with Hellion Banshee, because, of course, your Hellions cannot shoot up, even though heat rises. So I don't know how that works, but anyway, and also they can deal with the Banshees as well. If they get into position to try and harass Slavik, he's going to be able to bring these mutas across and harass them down. Meanwhile, third base has gone off for Slavik while he's pressuring with these mutas, runs into a turret or 2. In fact, 2 of the turrets, both of them having range on the mutas there, but the mutas are now inside. They take out 1 of the turrets and 2 of them at the back of the mineral line, just out of position here for GoOdy, but a Thor comes out in the nick of time, and he's going to try and take down those mutas before they get too much damage done. And as we can see, GoOdy will lose them into the fog, but he has done a fair amount of damage there, taking out a few of the mutas. I think that was 2 or 3 of them, and not really losing too much. I mean, we lost 7 workers, which is something to, you know, you say, well, that's not cool at all, but it's not as if you're thinking, oh no, the game is lost now. So Slavik doing a nice job just announcing his presence on the map, just making sure that GoOdy is not going to be able to just freely roam around with those Hellions and the Banshees. Meanwhile, he's picked up a lot of Roaches. Very good to see those. Of course, Roaches are a nice way to deal with a mech style, and of course, GoOdy being GoOdy has got a lot of tanks pumping out. We've got a few of them up here on the high ground. We've also got the Thor down at the Nat as well, along with a couple of Banshees. There isn't really going to be any push possibility just at the moment for Slavik. What he's going to want to do is sort of sit around, make sure he gets his economy pumping. As we can see, he's up to 6, whoa, that's actually GoOdy at 61 SCVs. What he wants to, he's at 56 drones at the moment. He's going to take a 4th base up the top side here now that he knows he's relatively protected. The Muta's still trying to do a little bit more damage, but Slavik is going to want to try and get that drone count up pretty quickly, just to make sure he can, you know, take advantage of the fact that You can get that 4th base relatively quickly, but here we go. GoOdy has got a little bit of a problem on his hands here. The Thor is under threat, and the Roaches just barge their way through, despite the 3 tanks on the high ground, 1 inside the Nat. Now another Thor just popping out. These Roaches are just going to bust through. They're just going to say, well, we're coming through, boys, and they certainly are, taking down some of those SCVs, getting rid of a few of them off the mineral line as well. Going to try and take down some of the turrets, which is quite nice as well. And with the removal of those turrets, the Mutas might be able to fly their way back through and then come in and do some more damage, but now the Roaches are going to have to retreat. They're going to burrow, and the Banshee is now, its situation is reversed. Now the Banshees can't shoot at the Mutas that are attacking them, but the Mutas are forced back because of a turret and a Thor. So GoOdy gonna hold himself up for the moment. He did drop down in his supply count at the moment, of course. With the 3 command centers, he's still able to produce the SCVs 3 at a time, and he now has a +1 to the vehicle weapons, just about to complete right about now. So that's going to help out with these tanks dealing with the Roaches on the low ground. And again, the Roaches will have to just sort of hang back for the moment, but some of their buddies have now come to the fight, and that is certainly going to help with any sort of pressure he wants to put on. GoOdy got his 3rd base up and running now. Got that extra gas coming in. Of course, a very heavy requirement of playing a mech style. The Thor's requiring their 200 gas per Thor, and then of course the tanks taking a little bit as well, along with the Banshees if you want to throw some Banshees in. And I am expecting to see, yep, there's the extra factories here with some with the Hellions also coming out. Is Blue Flame done? Not just yet. He hasn't researched this yet. Sort of a bit of a like a personal thing when players take Blue Flame. Some of them will take it very early to make sure they get a lot of map dominance against early Lings and that kind of thing. If you're playing against someone with a very heavy Ling style, like StarTale's Life, the recent GSL champion, but some players will just get it very late. And of course, if you're dealing with things like Mutas and things like the Roaches, the Hellions aren't going to be a big component of your mech. What you want to do is add in a lot of Thors, add in a lot of tanks, and then you'll be able to control the makeup of the Zerg units. So as we can see back at home for Slavik, the Roach Warren just about getting that Roach movement speed sorry, the burrow movement done. He also has a Great Aspire on the way. That's around about just on a quarter done now, and he's also got a couple of upgrades coming. We've got +1 to melee. He's also got missile attacks along with the adrenal glands for the Zerglings. So looks if he is going to go up and get all of his tech just to make sure he's got all options available, making sure that he can throw anything at GoOdy that he wants. The one surprising thing that I'm a little bit confused that Slavik hasn't picked up is the Overlord speed and drops. Normally, Zerg players will obviously want that ability in their forces, because you really want to just say, look, if you're going to play mech, you're not going to be able to run back up inside the main base here and defend, you know, just a simple 4-8 Roach drop that's inside your main. You're going to have to unsiege some of these tanks. You're going to have to move these very slow Thors and that kind of thing, and get them back inside your main. And so while you're doing that, I'm going to pressure at multiple points. But Slavik does not have that just as of yet, and it looks as if he will be okay with that for the time being, because he's got, as we said, very good upgrades. He's got a lot of spine crawlers through the middle. This is going to turn into a half map situation, I think. As you can see, Slavik with a brilliant creep spread through the middle here. As we can see, it's covering already halfway across the map. He's also getting these top sides here as well, which I really like, because a lot of players ignore that, and you sort of miss out a little bit. But GoOdy going to split it in half his own side as well. As we can see, a nice little turret line here to protect against any air threats. We can also see that Ravens are starting to pop out. Of course, the Ravens with their Hunter Seeker are able to deal with big flocks of Mutas and other very light sort of squishy units. And with the rest of the tech that he's got available, the tanks, the Thors, and the Hellions, he should be able to fend off any further threats on the ground. So this is, you can definitely see how this is going to sort of sync up and prepare for being a very long game here between these two players. And I was doing a little bit of reading about Slavik, and apparently a lot of his games do go macro style just because of that's how he rolls. So this is going to be very cool. Meanwhile, you know, GoOdy, of course, his own style, being mech, is a very late game macro orientated style. So I think that's obviously the two key ingredients for making this one a very long game. But just at the moment, as you can see, both players, it's a little bit of a standoff at the moment. The creep can't really spread too much further. There are turrets here, along with the tanks providing vision to this sort of area here. Goody just checking out what's going on in the middle. He wants to make sure that there's no Broodlords just as of yet, because he what does he have? How many Vikings have we got out for Goody? He's got 5 at the moment. He's starting to add on more just now, because this is sort of that time, the 21 minutes. If you're playing against a macro Zerg, this is where they'll want to try and get it out. Obviously, in a normal sort of style, you'd be worried about a Broodlord threat at around about the sort of the 18-minute mark, but with our Zerg player being a little bit more relaxed about his style, he's not going to be worried about that just yet. But we can see that Slavik trying to abuse the immobility of the mech style with a Niter Swarm dropping out at the bottom side here, not able to get anything done. Goody well prepared for that with a turret and a couple of Banshee, a couple of Hellions, and a spare Banshee down there just trying to do some damage. Meanwhile, Goody trying to get his own little harassment in, sending in a couple of Hellions, but not really getting too much done. As we can see, with Blue Flame only just now coming along, we're at the 22-minute mark, and it's just coming along now. He wasn't really able to get anything done down there. But he is preparing his anti-Broodlord force. He's sort of making sure that these Ravens have all of their energy up. They've, of course, got the Seeker Missile research. They also have the Corvid Reactor done. You know, I would love to see him pick up these extra upgrades, the durable materials upgrade to extend the life of auto turrets and that kind of thing. Goody now sacrificing some of his SCVs. Of course, when you get to this late stage, this sort of mid to late stage of TvZ and you're playing a mech style, what you want to do is drop down this harvester count down to something a little bit more along the lines of sort of 40 to 30. It kind of depends on how much bank you've got built up and the positions you've taken on the map. So he's going to get rid of some of these. He gets a little quick peek at what's going on at this top base as well. But what this does is it frees up some of the supply for Goody to make more and more Ravens. Of course, as we can see here, he is building quite a few more Ravens, getting the Vikings out as well, along with more upgrades as well. See, +3 to the weapons is now on the way, +2 to air weapons as well, and Goody is starting to really get into a good spot right now. Looks as if Slavik's going to have a quick push through the middle of the map as well. Can't really see exactly what's on the other side just yet, but he is going to try and do as much damage as he can. This is the point where Goody is going to not be too worried about losing some of these Hellions here. Of course, the Hellions take up a little bit of supply as well, and with those out of the map, that means that there are a little bit of limitations on how much you're going to be able to see, how much you're going to be able to get out on the map. And so Goody, just good game sense here, throwing down a couple of scans, seeing exactly where those pesky roaches went and where these corruptors are at the moment. The other added bonus of scanning those corruptors is, you know, these guys aren't Broodlords yet, so he knows that he's not going to be too worried about the Broodlords just yet, but they are going to start morphing in now, and Slavik's going to get prepared for a possible push coming up now. But he's got to be very, very worried about the Ravens and the Vikings that could be there for Goody. But Goody, love this macro here from him, adding in a bunch of orbital commands here just down at the side. The other advantage of playing this mech style as Terran is that you can pick up these extra orbital commands to make sure that you can drop down some mules, and you can sacrifice those SCVs as we saw before. In fact, I would not be surprised if we see him get rid of a few more of these SCVs. He's sitting up at 64, which is getting a little bit too high for this stage of the game. He could probably get rid of, in fact, all of these guys here. You don't really need all of them. But there was a drop attempt down the bottom here from Slavik. He's got a bunch of Overlords. They're all prepped and ready to go with a bunch of roaches. Some infested Terrans being thrown out here by these infestors. They're going to try and soak up some of the damage and do some damage to the turrets here at the bottom right-hand side of Goody's 5th base. And it looks as if he will be able to take some of the turrets down. Gets rid of a sensor tower. Turrets now being assaulted by the fever of Broodlords across to the side. I see a fever because that's the collective term for a group of stingrays, and you know, I tell you what, they look so much like stingrays. Look at that. But now Slavik preparing. What is he doing? He's getting rid of the turrets, allowing these Overlords to jump inside the main here, and here come the Vikings. They're just getting into position, dropping out some of the roaches is Slavik, but he is losing all of those Overlords. That's he's not going to lose too much of his supply, but here come the Ravens, dropping down some Hunter Seekers, blasting through all of those infested Terrans, just annihilating those very squishy units there. But the Thor's going to be able to clean up the rest of them for the moment, but the Broodlords are still here. They're still able to throw down those Broodlings Is Slavik going to be able to bust down this base? This is going to be very, very interesting here. Goody wants to keep those Ravens alive. You do not want to sacrifice any of those Ravens just at the moment. The Corruptors now coming into range of the Thors and the Vikings, but they will back off for the time being. And I think Slavik has to be careful here. He doesn't want to push too far in. If you get these Corruptors out of position and you lose them, that could be a little bit dangerous. But the Infested Terrans on the ground, of course, with their +3 to their attack, are doing quite a lot of damage here. The Thors having to back up, all of these units having to back up, but now with the rest of those down, he should be able to push a little bit more forward. Goody just trying to inch his way forward to get this base back in his possession. Meanwhile, at the top side, a couple of tanks moving up here, just trying to make sure he's got this base covered here. And because, you know, if you're going to lose this one, may as well take one of the other ones. So he's forward planning here from Goody is very, very good. But he is still under siege at this bottom side base here, with the Infested Terrans just walking along. They're like crazy little penguins just walking along with their weapons drawn, trying to take out those big Terran units. The Infestors still have quite a lot of energy here. It looks as if Slavik is loading a couple of them up. Wait, no, he's not. He's sort of just loading them up accidentally. And it looks like Slavik is going to take down some of these Vikings here. Good job getting rid of those. There are still a few at the back looking at the upgrades. They do have +2 on their attack. The Corruptors have 2/2 on their upgrades, so they're doing a lot of damage and taking a lot more damage as well. And it looks like Slavik is just going to continue the assault on this base with these look at this. This is a crazy amount of Infestors down here at the bottom of the cliff here. They're just sort of waiting here. They're like, I don't have a ladder. I can't get up there just as of yet. And he's now going to head back. The Infestor count for Slavik currently sitting at 28 Infestors. The top side, it looks as if Goody is starting to assert his own dominance up here. The Ravens providing some detection ability to get rid of some of these tumors, but the big threat is the Thors and the tanks that are now sieged up. They've got 0-3 on their upgrades. Very interesting upgrades here from Goody, just deciding to go hard out on those attack upgrades here. And now he could be in for a little bit of trouble. We don't actually have too much anti-air here from Goody. The Vikings are actually just across at the opposite side of the map. The Ravens are going to fly along with them as well, but the Broodlords are going to have a field day with these units on the ground, with the Infested Terrans being thrown out. But there are a couple of Hunter Seekers. Nicely done by Goody there, taking out some of the health on those. And there is another huge set of Seeker missiles just destroying the Corruptors. This allows the Vikings to get inside. Where are they? Well, there's only a few Vikings out for Goody at the moment. He needs to get them into the battle if he wants to take down these Broodlords. The one issue that he has is that there are so many Infestors here, and with all of their energy, there's going to be a bunch of Fungals able to do some more damage for Slavik there as well. So Goody is continuing to press on. The Thors just say, I do not care what you have, I'm just going to roll through and take out this hatchery, getting rid of that base. Quite nice. And now it looks as if some of these Vikings up in the air are going to be taken down. Is the Infested Terran going to be able to get rid of them? To survive. Oh, one survives with very minimal health, but key thing is here is that there are 12 Corruptors in production here for Slavik. So he's going to be able to resupply on these Broodlords. They're going to have 3-3 in just a moment, and that means that he's going to be able to get a very nice counter push going. What did I see down here? Thor's rolling along. Looks like there are a couple of Seeker missiles being thrown down at the bottom side here as well. There is action all over the place in this game. Goody and Slavik with some fantastic micro, able to control the battles all over the place. And Goody has gotten rid of this base here, so this is going to be, the income is going to be very interesting here for both of these players. It looks as if Slavik did have to get a couple of his drones back up. He was down at a very low count there, but he has finally gotten it back up. Here come the Ravens, able to place down their auto turrets on the creep. Very handy trick to have. And there they are. They do so much damage, dropping down a grand total. How many auto turrets is that? I'll tell you what, it's a huge amount. That's how many it is. You can't even actually count how many that is, because they are just rolling through all of the drones here. They do a fair amount of damage to the buildings as well. The key thing is that they survive so long. Look how long these guys survive. That is a huge amount of time. I think it's about 3 minutes, which is just incredible. But what is Slavik going to do about that? There isn't really too much he can do just at the moment. Slavik lacking in his gas at the moment. Of course, he had to build a whole bunch of these Corruptors. He's still keeping his Infestors on queue at the moment. Nicely. Wow, that is... Are you serious? 30 infestors out at the moment, 14 corruptors, 5 broodlords, and for Goody, he's got a heck of a lot of the auto turrets up at the top side. Meanwhile, down at the bottom, he's got 10 Hellions in total, trying to do a little bit of damage down here at this 6 o'clock base, getting rid of any drones and the buildings that are there. But the broodlords and infestors are coming in to say hello. There are three Thors still out for Goody, so he's still got a fair amount of action going on. He's got 14 tanks, there are 20 Ravens, and 11 Vikings. So what Grubby's going to want to do, what Goody's going to want to do right about now is start really utilizing those Vikings. Of course, late game of any sort of StarCraft, whether it be Brood War or StarCraft 2, energy units that can replenish their supplies, as in these infestors here, that can replenish their energy and still be able to throw down these very powerful infested Terrans. You're going to want to use these types of units, because that's the way that you can sort of make things very efficient and very economic as well. Because when this, if this map goes to a mined out game, which who knows, it could get to very soon, the units like these infestors and like the 20 Ravens that are out are the big components that will win you a late game if you use them efficiently, if that's the key thing. But it looks like Slavik still continuing to pressure this bottom side here. He wants to establish this base at the southern side, because if he can get that, and if he can continue mining at this base across to the side here, well, actually that's a big problem for him. He doesn't actually have much gas coming in at all. Wow, he's down to 200 gas income right at the moment, so I'm not really sure what he's going to do about that. He really needs to get some more drones out at the moment. He's down to 37 harvesters. He lost quite a lot at this at the base at the top right hand side, but he will need to get some more as quickly as he can. I don't know what he's going to do, though. I mean, he needs to save some of this supply. I mean, he's sitting at 185 supply at the moment. Perhaps he could pump out a few more drones right about now, but he is building another hatchery up to the top side. He took the position here as well, so he is going to be able to keep this one and get this one back up and running. Meanwhile, down at the bottom, Goody with 2 tanks. They've got their 3 damage, doing 65 damage to armored units and buildings, of course, are able to siege up this base, and it looks as if he may be able to get rid of it, but here come the infestors rolling across. 1 goes down, 2 goes down, 3 go down in total. There are a couple of the Hunter Seekers, and they're chasing after the Corruptors. Are they going to be able to catch them? That is a big question here. It looks as if the Hunter Seekers, of course, with their speed upgrade, may be able to catch them. There, oh my god, they just ticked out at the nick of time there. Has he got the upgrade yet? No, he doesn't. He doesn't actually have the durable materials upgrade. Goody, I am very surprised. At this stage of the game, you really want that, because that little bonus of time helps you actually push out with the Hunter Seekers, of course, chasing after things like the Corruptors and the Broodlords. Well, I suppose Broodlords can't really go too far. They are very slow units, but it looks like Slavik trying to push through here, throwing out infested Terrans to soak up damage and try and deal some damage to the Thors and the tanks. There are so many infested Terrans. This is a ridiculous amount, and with their 3-3 they're going to be able to do a lot of damage as well, but still, at the moment, this is not enough, and things are really Goody is starting to really control things here, and he's now got a couple of tanks up at the top side trying to get rid of this base up here as well, and it looks like he may be able to get rid of it for the time being, but a couple of Lings and Roaches have now streamed in here trying to get rid of them, but the tanks and the 1 Thor that are there are going to be able to hold it up for the time being. But here come 4 Broodlords. They're trying to protect all of these bases as best as they can. Slavik is trying to just be all over the map, but unfortunately, just at the moment, he is having a little bit of trouble protecting things. This top base is now mined out. The main and the Nat are also, of course, mined out as well. The base down the southern side still has quite a lot of minerals there. I'm surprised that one is still looking good. The 3rd base up the top starting to mine out on those minerals as well. His gas is not actually being mined efficiently, but there isn't really too much left over, and Slavik needs to control this base here. He needs to make sure that his gas is coming in properly from this base as well, and I think this one is also a very key component to keeping this game in his own hands. Meanwhile, for Goody, he's doing quite well. He's still got a bit of minerals left over at this base. He's almost mined out at this one. You can see the effect of the mules mining out a couple of those patches very quickly. The 4th base across to the side is almost done. Of course, the natural and the main are already done. But As we can see, he is still continuing to try and press on here. GoOdy trying to make these trades as efficient as possible. Unfortunately, he's losing those mineral gas units to energy units here, and that is not what he wants to deal with. But if he can still control positions, control this base here, and keep his gas coming in, he should be able to still hold out for quite a while. But the big issue is Slavik. Is he going to be able to get more gas coming in? Because that's where he's struggling right about now, is getting some more gas so he can make some more Broodlords and Corruptors. We're going to have another fight here. There are the Hunter Seekers destroying all of those Corruptors, and in fact we got just a couple of those left over. The Vikings coming in to say hello, boys. You've only got a little bit of health left over, but so the Fungals come off from the Infestors, Spore Crawlers as well, and that was a pretty one-sided battle once the Vikings had taken one of their kills. But now, GoOdy, what is he going to do? The Ravens starting to sneak in. They're going to try and find the Broodlords, but they just nip out of position in the right time there, and he's going to try and keep them up and running, because if he can keep those out of the way of those Ravens, the Broodlords should be able to survive for quite a while. They have found a couple of tanks just up here at the bottom edge, and it looks as if there is another attempted insurgency at the top side of Slavik's top base here. Not able to actually get anything done there was GoOdy, but he did get a couple of kills on those units. Meanwhile, Thor's starting to increase in the count as well. He's got 8 of them out at the moment. Of course, they've got their 3 damage upgrade. They've also got +3 to armor, just about to finish up as well. So that's going to really help out with tanking against some of these units. There is another Hunter Seeker. Bam! Taking down one of the Infestors. I don't know. It does a little bit of health, a little bit of damage to some of the other Infestors, but perhaps a little bit of a different play would have been nice here. But Slavik now changing gears. He's going to switch into a heavy Ling presence at the top side of the map. He's going to try and abuse the fact that GoOdy is a little bit further spread down to the southern side to keep those bases. Is GoOdy going to care about losing this base? I don't really think so. The gas has been depleted for a little while now, and the Lings have taken out the planetary. Not too bad of a job for them, but they are going to try and push inside. If they can get some damage done on some of the production facilities, it would be a little bit nicer there, but didn't really get anything done because there are a couple of tanks and Hellions protecting that for GoOdy. And we continue to roll on with the battle. The story of the day being this southern base here. Here come the Broodlords, the Infestors, providing a little bit of cover with these infested Terrans, the tanks and Thors across to the side. These Thors are on hold position, keep in mind, because you don't want to throw them out to catch a possible fungal. But there are Hunter Seekers again, catching out some of the Broodlords, being kept alive by the Queens. Again, more energy coming out there from Slavik. Good usage of that. I do like how he's continuing to use some of these energy-based units to keep his forces alive at the top side. GoOdy has now sent another squad of tanks in here to try and deal with this top base. There isn't actually too much mining here, so for Slavik this isn't going to be a massive loss just right now, but the issue is that he needs to keep it up because he needs to get the gas coming in. So, and he's, wow, he's actually starting to get very low on his minerals as well. So GoOdy doing a good job. They're going to try and retreat with the tanks, pushing them back outside. Going to maybe escape the clutches of those Broodlords. In fact, the Broodlords are not following, so he's definitely going to escape them at the moment. But Slavik still trying to keep things in his possession right now, holding this base quite nicely here. I think he's going to try and take this one down at the 6 o'clock position again. Yeah, there's a drone just coming down here, picking up some of those minerals. Just maybe going to try and get a little bit further in. I heard a Hunter Seeker. It was just one Infestor that was caught out. A little bit of health damage done on some of the others there. We still have a total count of 29 Infestors, but there is another Hunter Seeker chasing after one of these Infestors. Good split there. Nice little split. Those of you from Brood War will remember things like the Mutalisk split when you get an irradiate on your clump of mutas. That's what that reminded me of. But still, we can see that GoOdy is still holding this base up. He's still got quite a fair amount of minerals here. That's actually, I'm a little bit surprised how much is left over. But he's just taking his time, throwing out Hunter Seekers. A couple of Vikings coming across to take down that Broodlord if they can. But a good transfuse from Slavik keeps that one Broodlord alive. That guy is very happy to still be alive at the moment. And it looks as if, yet again, GoOdy trying to push into this top side here. If he can, I think if he can maybe get a couple of Hellions here and keep this group of Thor Thors here, he should be okay to actually just totally deny this base. So we'll keep an eye on whether he just sort of holds position there. And as we can see, this is starting to really sort of slow down at the moment, because both these players realizing that this is going to really depend on who can hold their gas, who can hold on to their minerals, of course. With Slavik going into a little bit more of a Ling style, he did use up some of his minerals here, and he's currently sitting at a bank of 800 minerals and around about 800 gas. Meanwhile, for GoOdy, with his very gas-intensive units, he's sitting at a bank of 10,000 minerals and around about 2,000 gas, because he's been keeping the gas coming in from this base here and also this one down the southern side. I really would like to see Slavik perhaps load up some of these infestors, go for another Niter Swarm just at the back base here. Like, it doesn't even matter if you don't kill the orbital command. If you can keep some infestors here just to make sure that infested Terrans are throwing down to deal with this base and the gas that's coming in from there, that'd be quite nice, because at the moment, as we can see on the income tab, Slavik is really struggling with his gas income. Now the geysers at this base have been mined out. Looks as if he will try and get this one down the southern side. Does he have? Yes, he does. I was going to say, is there neuroparasite? And he just uses it now just to demonstrate that it definitely is there. What is he? Is he not going to? He's not going to actually attack the Thor. I don't know what's going on with that. But both these players still, we're just waiting to see how they are going to try and push forward, if anyone is going to push forward. That's the big struggle in this late game here, is that both players have gone for a style where they actually have quite a lot of sort of death ball potential, sort of like a turtley death ball. You don't really want to try and engage on this massive amount of corruptors with the big fleet of these ravens. You also can't really push into it too much, because there are a bunch of infestors. There's still 27 infestors out on the map. There are 4 broodlords, which isn't a huge amount, but it's still something. If you're locked down from fungal, if you're locked down from neuroparasite, you really can't push into a big sort of force like this. Meanwhile, if Slavik wants to push in, what's he going to do? There's 9 Thors out of the map. There are 3 tanks, which is a very low count for this stage of the game, but there are 20 ravens, and with Hunter Seekers and of course those auto turrets, that is going to be something very dangerous to try and push into. So both the players starting to maneuver a little bit more now. It looks as if Slavik is pushing through the middle, trying to soak up some of the damage with these infested Terrans. Going to just make sure he's throwing down them to sort of keep an eye on where GoOdy is. Can he actually see where the tanks move to? Not just yet. But a couple of the tanks are here at the bottom side dealing with some of those infested Terrans. And Slavik, I think he's just trying to sort of just maneuver around, trying to see if there is a way to push into GoOdy without losing too many of these forces. What he really needs to do is make sure there is a bunch of infested Terrans out to deal with the ravens if they get into position. But GoOdy is doing a great job just really splitting up these little groups. He's not sending in the whole fleet of these ravens. He's sending them in 1, 2, maybe 3 at a time to throw down those Hunter Seekers. So if Slavik wants to use a fungal growth, he's not actually going to catch the whole group of the ravens. He's only going to catch a couple of them. So I do like that from GoOdy at the moment. So Broodlord's now starting to move in, going to throw down a little bit of the Broodling action on this planetary fortress here. Is a planetary going to be able to survive? There are no real SCVs around. There are probably some mules that he could throw down to repair that, but he's not going to just at the moment. Looks as if the infested Terrans down the southern side are still just waiting there to see if they can get some orders to do some stuff. But catching out some of the Vikings there, very nicely played by Slavik. Meanwhile, some Thors have pushed into this base here, gotten rid of it. Not too much of an issue, as we said. The Vespene guys are mined out, so that's not too big of a problem here. GoOdy really needs to hold this. I would love if he would just move this one tank over here, just to make sure he can hold this high ground here, because meanwhile, in the middle, it looks as if Slavik is starting to push in. We mentioned those energy-efficient infestors there. They're like a nice washing machine made by LG or something like that, where they've got their high energy efficiency there. Not sure about the idea of pushing into that big group, and a couple of Seeker missiles pushing out there, catching some of those units. Even the splash picking up on those Broodlords was perhaps not the best way to trade there for Slavik, but he did push through, killing some of the units that were here. There was a planetary, of course, that went down. We saw some of the Ravens going down, and the Vikings as well. So not doing too badly there is Slavik, and now he's got another problem. These sneaky Thors just hiding up in the top corner. They're going to push through, going to try and take down the extractor. Very nicely done. If he can get some of these drones and then the hatchery, that would be key for GoOdy right about now. But here come the the big group of infestors. Corruptors somehow leading the way. They're going to try and tank some of this damage perhaps. Whereas the fungal growth, not going to bring it in, but there are a couple of broodlords to try and chase down these Thors here. And if they can catch them, that'd be quite nice, because if Goody loses these Thors that are in a really great position here, that'd be a little bit annoying for him. One goes down. Is the second going to go down? You can bet your bottom dollar it is, because there is the second assault of those broodlings, and down goes the Thor. No Phoenix upgrade for that Thor, I tell you what. But down at the southern side of the map, Slavik has found this extra base that Goody is trying to get up. The planetary is almost done, but the Lings are doing a lot of damage, getting rid of SCVs, targeting the planetary now. Gonna lift that up is Goody, I would assume. No. Wow, very interesting there. I think Goody may have been a little bit preoccupied with something else, because he actually lost that command, which is that's not cool. I mean, he's still got a bank of 8,000. It's not too bad of a bank, but you really want to, as we said, the thing about late game is cost efficiency, and you want to try and keep things as efficient as possible. And speaking of which, Slavik now pushing through the middle. He's still got that huge group of Corruptors out of the map at the moment. Broodlords now trying to push through as well, throwing down those Broodlings on the turrets. Here come a couple of the Ravens, 3 of them busting out. Some Hunter Seekers taking down 3 of the Broodlords. That is a nice catch there for Goody. In fact, he is going to lose two of the Ravens that he sent out, but I mean, 2 Ravens for 4 Broodlords now in total. That is not a bad catch. And Goody starting to really maneuver himself into a good position. Looking at the supply count, we've got Slavik sitting at 144 supply, 150 supply now. He's got a couple of Queens trying to defend this top base here. Drones now arriving to make sure this can get saturated. What is Slavik going to do? That's the big question, because he obviously has almost all of his tech available. Is there an Ultralisk cabin? There's no Ultralisk cabin, actually, so there is an older tech available, but the thing about Ultras is they cost a buttload of gas as well, so he's not really going to be able to do too much with those. But Goody, I think, is really starting to take command of this game right now. There he is, throwing down some of those fantastic auto turrets, doing insane amounts of damage. Gonna have to retreat with the Ravens. Don't really want to lose those, but there are the auto turrets doing bunches of damage. Gonna get rid of some of the infestors. Is he really gonna lose some of these infestors to auto turrets? Yes, he is. He lost a few of those. We're down to, where's the U button? We're down at 27 infestors, actually, so hasn't actually lost too many. But that, I don't know, that was not too bad there from Goody, but now he's going to be able to pressure that base a little bit more. He will need a couple of auto turrets again, but this has allowed him to get out some more down at the southern side. We got a command center being built here. Refineries are going up as well to get some more gas extracted. And once he has that base, I think Goody will be in a perfect position to keep a firm lead on this game with his huge amount of Ravens. 22 Ravens, 22 Vikings, 10 tanks, and a couple of Thors thrown in for good measure. 8 of them for those of you playing at home. Meanwhile, for Slavik, what's he sitting on? He's got a bunch of these Corruptors, 17 Corruptors. There are 3 Broodlords out and 27 Infestors. So we're still waiting to see if he's going to utilize this Nidus network. Again, I'm really surprised that the Nidus network has not been used a little bit more. I know there is a little bit of a turret ring going off for Goody at the moment to protect his the outside of his bases, but turrets can't shoot down, so I don't know what they're going to do about a Nidus worm. And I mean, a bunch of infested Terrans just ripping through this main base would be really, really useful here for Slavik. So he's just going to I don't know what he's going to do with that for the time being, but I do know he's going to try and push forward with these Broodlords. Corruptors trying to protect them in the air. A little bit of an aerial dance between the 3 sets of units. The Broodlords obviously wanting to keep away from those Vikings, and then the Corruptors trying to keep the Vikings away from the Broodlords. And here come the Infestors. There they are, throwing down some Infested Terrans inside the main. This is going to take care of some of these supply depots here. I tell you, that'd be pretty good. Getting rid of some of that, but I mean, Goody has got a bank of 11,000 minerals, so it's not as if supply depots are a big nuisance for him to lose. But here come the Thors and the tanks. I love how Goody has been pushing through. At any time there has been an attack on the other side of the map, he'll grab a little force of units and just decide, hey, it's go time, we're going to push through the middle. But he is starting to lose some of this production capability inside his main base. This means that Goody, if he starts losing some of these units and he's not trading efficiently, he's going to perhaps start to suffer that little bit of pressure that comes on when a meching Terran loses some of his production, which is a big issue because, of course, tanks take quite a long time to build. Thor's taken even longer time to build, but here comes Slavik. He's not going to have any of this attack down at his sort of main natural side of the map. Thor's trying to protect from the air, but the Broodlords are coming in thick and fast. There they are, throwing down the Broodlords, and the tanks have been wiped off the face of the map. And here come the Corruptors to try and take down any stray Ravens. And so Goody does lose some of his units there in the right-hand side of the map. He's down to 27 SCVs, but I tell you what, he's still doing a good job with the gas income there, keeping that up. Where are the... Has he used some of these mules yet? I mean... There's still a bunch of mules for him to use. Okay, he's used some of them. Oh, there they are. Okay, he was actually repairing the factories inside the main. Fair enough. That's pretty cool. But yeah, things are sort of passive just for the moment. It looks as if Slavik's going to try and attack into the main base again, throwing up a whole bunch of the infested Terran beach balls up into the main base here. Going to try and get rid of the factories. If he can get rid of at least 2 of these, that'd be quite a nice little trade here for him. And it looks as if he will be able to get rid of those. 2 of them are about to go down the starport as well. Meanwhile, there are a couple still left over on the left-hand side of the main. But now inside Slavik's main base, auto turret frenzy. All sorts of things going on inside this base here. The Queen is being absolutely obliterated. The Hive, the Greater Spire are going to be next on the menu for those auto turrets. Back inside the Goody's main, he's lost a couple of buildings there, but not everything, which is pretty good for him. And now, as we can see, looks as if the Ravens are going to be able to clean up this main base, which is quite nice for them, because now Slavik, if he wants to continue some of the production, he's going to need to get out... Oh, wait, hang on, no, he's got another Spire. There is a Spire just across to the right-hand side of the natural expand here. Switching into a Greater Spire, I think he got that just in time, which is quite nice play there from Slavik. And, wow, there is a big catch there. A bunch of the Vikings are being caught out by the infested fungal growths all over the place, and a total of, I think that was around about 22 Vikings is now down to a measly 8, even 7 now. And Goody, will that cost him the game? I do not know. We'll find out very soon. I mean, like, it definitely would cost him if Slavik had the gas to switch into a heavy Broodlord presence, but he doesn't. He's sitting on 100 gas at the moment, and realistically he's just relying on these infestors. So losing any of these is a big issue, but of course they can do a lot of damage themselves. There goes one of them. Not sure why he's trying to push into these tanks, but there go the infested Terrans. Meanwhile, those auto turrets have cleaned out that whole base, so Slavik has now lost all of that tech that he had there. He is, as we said, still rebuilding the Greater Spire. If he can save up a little bit of gas around about now and switch into Broodlords, he could put himself in a very nice spot, because as we mentioned, with one of the starports down, Goody is only producing the Vikings 3 at a time, and he himself is starting to run a little bit low on gas. As we can see, there is the only real gas mining is coming from this southern base here for Goody, so he's starting to run into his own gas troubles. And as we mentioned right back at the start, these mech units take quite a lot of gas, and when you need to build some of these Vikings to get out some of those guys to deal with Broodlords that might be coming again, you're going to have a little bit of trouble. And as we can see, there are 4 more Broodlords now morphing in here for Slavik, so things could get a little bit dicey for Goody right about now, because the infestors still have all sorts of energy available for them to use. Is he going to be able to get some good fungals down? That's going to be the big question. Here he is throwing down some infested Terrans inside the main, and Goody, with the lack of gas, is going to start to struggle. He really needs to get these Ravens into the action, and the Thors are now proceeding across the map. They're just walking their way over. They're like big hippopotamus units just walking across very slowly. But if they can get into position, lay down some covering fire on these Corruptors, maybe the Ravens will be able to get inside and deal with the infested Terran threat and the Broodlord threat that is now inside his main base, cleaning out all of this tech. Because Slavik is starting to turn this around from being in a position where he had almost no sort of offensive capability apart from the infestors. He's starting to get into a really good spot here, and he's also really getting really nicely positioned to take this game, because with 3 more Broodlords on the way, that's going to bring the total to a total of 9, which is going to be a lot for him to deal with. But there is an infested Terran death if I have ever seen one. Seeker missiles just rolling through all of the infested Terrans. I have no idea why they were wandering up that ramp. Perhaps a bit of a misclick there from Slavik. Will that cost him the game? We'll have to see very soon, because he is down to a total of 13 infestors. He was once up at 27, 29, I think even 30 at one point. He's now down to 13, 12 now as well. So here we go. It looks if possible final stand coming along here from Goody. He's got the Vikings in position. There are a good total of them now, 8 of them in total. There goes one of the infestors about to go down. Hunter Seeker slamming down that one. Where is the nuke? That's what I really think Goody needs, is a nuke. There are no overseers out. I mean, just a nuke, a defensive nuke to throw it down to force Slavik out of position would be quite nice. But there is another Hunter Seeker taking down one of the infestors. So now Slavik down to 13. In fact, he's built a couple more to replenish some of his supplies. Goody still mining quite nicely off this base. Slavik, meanwhile, has got this base at the top right-hand side up and running, about to run out of those minerals there, but the gas is still coming in, which is quite nice for him. He's also got this top base here, which is also fantastic to have, and rebuilding a spawning pool after losing that one inside the main. So he's still trying to keep himself inside the game, and with the drone production going back up, he's up to 42 drones. Things really starting to turn around here, and I think that things are going to go the way of Slavik. We'll have to see very soon, because he's now starting to clean out the southern side of the map. If he can get in here and deal with the planetary and the tank that's here, this is definitely going to look like a Slavik victory for our Zerg player here. From FXO, but the planetary, look at that, slamming down the Ibex cannon, or Ibex cannon, I don't know, whatever you call it. No one ever mentions that name these days. Able to deal with the roaches, but more units now starting to push down the bottom left-hand side of the map for Slavik. He's got the infestors, just throwing out some of the infested Terrans to say, look, you're going to have to defend this position, because if you don't, I'm going to roll through with those infested Terrans, and then he's going to push through the top side, and now he's sitting at 176 supply, looking good for Slavik right about now. He doesn't actually really have any more gas left over on his side of the map, so these two bases are going to be key for him. If there is any way that Goody is going to be able to push back, he may be able to take down the gas, and that could really help him out. But Slavik now with a total of how many? 16 infestors and 8 broodlords is able to do a whole bunch of damage, and there is a bunch of fungals thrown down on the Ravens, catching them, and a couple of broodlords going down to the Seeker missiles as well. Slavik is losing units pretty quickly here. Goody keeping this death ball together, sieging up the tanks when he needs to, unsieging them when the broodlords are around. The Thors also doing all sorts of damage, and the Ravens keeping their efficiency up, throwing out the Hunter Seekers, doing a huge amount of damage there, and bringing the broodlord count down to 4. But the issue is, with the gas still coming in for Slavik, he's going to be able to produce a few more. As we can see, 3 of them in production at the moment, so he's going to add on a couple more, bringing the total to 7. There it is. So he's now got that 7 total there. Ravens trying to move into position to grab one of the broodlords or 2. That would be quite nice for Goody here. But things still continuing on. This very tension-packed game right at the moment. Infest is wandering into tank range here. I'm not sure what the plan is with those guys, whittling down the infested count to 15. Of course, it was a lot higher before, but still looking good at the moment is Slavik. I think he's really starting to move into a good position here. And Goody still sieged up. I don't know why Slavik's losing some of these. Oh, okay, they were just infested Terrans. It's not too bad. But still, he's biding his time. That's, I think, one key thing that Slavik is doing here. And with 4 more infestors on the way, he's going to be able to add to this energy-efficient unit mixture that he's got here. With the Queens able to heal up those... heal up the broodlords if they take any Hunter Seeker missiles. I'm pretty sure it takes 3 Hunter Seekers to kill a broodlord, or is it 2? Maybe it's 2. For a direct hit, that is. Yeah, if he can heal them up before they take any more Seeker shots, he will be in a very nice spot. Ling's down the southern side, trying to check out where Goody is going. He's saying, you're not coming this way, buddy, because I'm going to know that you're there, and I'm going to move into position. As we can see, infestors just down this southern side here, being covered by the Corruptors, and of course the broodlords slowly moving into position as well. 2 more broodlords in production, going to bring the total to 8 for Slavik. So he's going to be looking good very soon. Interesting little spore crawler wall here from Slavik, just to try and protect this side. I do like that. And he's restarting creep spread, which is really cool. He's got, he did have quite a lot through the middle here, but some of that has been cleaned out now. And as we, have a look at that. Goody, now out of minerals at the bottom side. We are in effectively a mined out situation here. Apart from, you know, these couple of positions that Slavik controls, Goody is now on his last leg. So Well, I suppose he does have a bank of 13,000, but the issue is that he has no gas either. This base is almost close to finish, or 800 left in both of these, or 6 and 800 left over. So there is very little gas left over, and Goody is really going to have to start being totally and completely efficient with his Ravens here if he wants to be able to win this game. So we'll see how that goes. Broodlords now starting to move into position for Slavik. What's he going to do? Is he going to try and push through the middle, or is he going to try and perhaps go for another attack up at the top? We'll have to see. Goody now controls the center Zelnaga watchtower. No one controls the top one, which I find very odd. But the Vikings catching out a couple of units. A bit surprised that Goody is not sort of spreading those out a little bit more, but he is going to build a couple of turrets here. That's going to help out with the anti-corruptor and possibly the Broodlords as well. But normally Broodlords won't get into position to lose to something like that. But they're the Broodlords actually getting caught out there a couple of times. Fungal growth going down, catching 2 of those Vikings. And Goody, will he be able to do anything here? I don't know. This is that late game sort of death ball. Despite being almost 30, more than 30 supply up on his opponent, Goody is having a bit of trouble trying to deal with this this very efficient death ball of Slavik with the 21 infestors out of the map, 7 Broodlords. It's not a massive amount, but it's still something to be contended with. But speaking of which, here go a bunch of Lings. But Goody, he's well prepared. He's got a bunch of the Hellions sitting at the top of the ramp, blue flaming their way down on all of those Lings, cleaning that up, making sure that there is no possible run by attack into the production facilities of Goody here, which would be quite funny because, I mean, Goody's very soon not going to actually have any capability to produce anything, so it's going to come to a point where he says, kill my factories, bro, I don't actually care. But Slavik, looks like Goody trying to move up to the top. He's cleaning out some of these creep tumors and the spore crawlers as well. But Slavik in position, of course. Well, the mouse going crazy because this game has been going on for so long. We are almost at 1 hour and 20 minutes of game time. If you've been sticking through this for the whole time, thank you very much. It's been a crazy game. And now Goody is starting to attack into his opponent's natural base. Thor's... Honey Badger Thor is just walking in, not worrying about the queens, taking 2 of them down, and now he's going to have free reign over this natural base here. Is he going to be able to do something in time? I am not sure. Queens infestors are on the way. A scan from Goody, just seeing exactly what's coming along. He knows that the Broodlords are still over here, so he's not going to have too much of a fun time trying to defend against that. But the big force of Goody has been caught out with a couple of fungals. There are a few of the infestors up on the high ground, which is not the place you would always see them. Inside your opponent's main base is not the place you would expect an infestor attack to come from. But here comes some Lings. Lings should be able to deal with these Thors, but the Thors have got +3 on their weapons and armor. That means they take a lot less damage from the Lings, but the Lings, I tell you what, with adrenal glands and 3/3 of their own, they're going to do a lot of damage. And there are some more Seeker missiles taking down some of the Broodlords. We're now down to 5. Does Slavik have enough to reproduce? Yes, he does. But here come the infestors. Whereas the Neural Parasite catches 2 of the Thors. Nicely done there by Slavik. He's going to keep an eye on them. And with the fungal and the infested Terrans, oh my god, not every day you see that. A fungal plus infested Terrans and NP Thors to take down a whole bunch of Ravens. And now more Neural Parasite. Brilliantly done here by Slavik. I think this could be the turning point of this game, or in fact, you know, the winning point of this game for Slavik. He has done a fantastic job taking over the Thors. He's now going to get rid of the rest of them. The Thor count for Goody is now sitting at 1. This lonely guy over in the corner here, he is not having a fun day at all. So he's going to, I don't know what Goody's going to do with that guy, because there are now infested Terrans inside the main, cleaning up buildings. But as we mentioned before, Goody realistically is only going to be able to produce a couple of Thors and maybe some Hellions, and that's about it. And Hellions, last time I checked, not doing that well against Broodlords and infestors. So it looks like Goody is perhaps going to go down in this one. I'm not sure if he can really produce enough to, or any sort of... the hard thing is, there is a Thor. Goodbye to Thor, Neural Parasite, the last... Oh, actually, sorry, there's one more Thor. He's just over here. As we were saying, this sort of... mix-up of units here from Slavik, that late-game Zerg death ball with the infestors, the Broodlords, and the Queens as well to provide healing and a bit of extra damage and anti-air, means that GoOdy has to produce the perfect mech mix to deal with this, and that comprises of Thors, it comprises of a bunch of these Vikings as well, not to mention keeping these Ravens alive and throwing down things like auto turrets and Hunter Seekers. You just sort of have to get it in the right position to do something about it, and at the moment Slavik's positioning has been beautiful so far. He's been just sort of keeping an eye on exactly where his opponent is, so as we can see for GoOdy, he's got a reasonably good idea of where Slavik is maneuvering around the map, and for Slavik, he can also see generally where his opponent is. He's got some creep tumors that have been pushed out through the top side here, and he can see that the tanks are now on the way. But wow, GoOdy tanks getting into a nice position here. He's going to get high ground vision and take down some of these spore crawlers, but now the base is a little bit in trouble here. Did I hear Mulus? No, I didn't. I'm not sure what that was, but now GoOdy losing tanks, the Panzer General. Losing some of those tanks is always a bad thing, I hear, but his tanks up at the top side and now dealing with this base here. That is the lair, and with the spire just behind it, that's not going to be cool at all. He did lose the greater spire down at the bottom side of the right side of the natural base as well, but now, again, a little bit of a gear change here from Slavik, switching in a few of those lings, trying to make sure he's efficient with his remaining resources as possible, keeping in mind that we are effectively, completely mined out on this map. There is a little bit of gas left over in one of these guys, but no one is going to take that. There is nothing left in this one down the bottom, and the Lings are now inside the main base of GoOdy. He's got one Hellion valiantly trying to defend. Two, there is a third as well, trying to defend against these Lings, but the Lings are just so quick and doing so much damage, he's not really going to be able to do too much about it. Meanwhile, GoOdy is now under attack. The Broodlords moving into position. Where are those Ravens? Got to try and spread them out so they don't all get fungled at once. Here comes the main force of Slavik throwing down the infested Terrans. Broodlords are now raining down Broodlings as well. There are the extra Hunter Seekers and blasting away at those Broodlords. Not sure if that'll change the game though, because the big issue is, you know, Slavik's got all of these infestors here. I think he has enough. No, he doesn't have a Great Aspire. He doesn't have gas to make a Great Aspire. Oh my god. Oh my god, this game. We are now at 78 supply, 76 supply for Slavik, 73 supply for GoOdy. Neither of the players can really mine anything. I mean, there is this one gas geyser that can get out a little bit here. Slavik has no Great Aspire, so he can't make any more Broodlords. He can't really make anything. He could, I don't know, you've got 198 gas. Maybe that's a really cool desert island type of question. You have 198 gas and you're against 14 Vikings, you're against 4 tanks, 7 Ravens, and 1 Thor. What do you make? I don't know, post in the comments what you would make right now, because this is going to be crazy to see what happens. GoOdy, long distance mining some minerals here. Not really sure what that's going to help out with, given that he does have a bank of 9,000, but he is trying to replenish some of his units here. We got production coming in of a couple of the Hellions at a time, and you know why it's only a couple? Because that's all he can make. He can't make another factory. He could make a reactor. Make a reactor, GoOdy. Get Hellions out faster, but then you're going to need some tech to figure out a way to get the Hellions to actually deal with Queens with huge upgrades at the moment. Queens do have 333, keep in mind, so even the Hellions are not really going to do anything about those. But Infestus trying to be a little bit more useful here at the top side, getting rid of one of the tanks. Every single unit that GoOdy loses here counts, especially when it is an important gas unit like these tanks, like the one remaining Thor. Every single thing counts. This game is pretty much going down to the wire, but I'm pretty sure that Slavik is going to have it in the bag. He's got some Lings down at the bottom side here, not really able to do too much. He did clean up the rest of those SCVs that were there, and now GoOdy trying to mine off these minerals here. Again, really not sure what he's intending to do with that extra minerals. I mean, if he wanted to do anything with minerals, he'd do it. But I don't know. Again, this is that situation. If you are GoOdy, what do you do? If you are Slavik, what do you do? Do you try and push in, or do you just try and take your time, bide your time, use up these energy-efficient infestors, and just wait until you can throw down infested Terrans and just slowly whittle away, one tank at a time, perhaps? That is something that Slavik is going to be thinking. I just need to take my time. I got a bunch of infestors still. I'm going to keep them all alive. There goes a Hunter Seeker. Not every day you see Hunter Seekers cleaning up infested Terrans, but it is energy unit against energy unit here between these two players. There's a couple more of those infested Terrans being thrown out, killing off some of the Hellions, perhaps you know, a little bit of a good catch, but not the hugest catch. But here come the Queens. I really think that if Slavik wants to take this, he needs to be very careful with those infestors. He is losing some of them. 14 are still out on the map. There's the burrow, keeping them alive for the time being, and the Queens will be able to tank up and hold position for the time being. What is Slavik actually up to? Anything at the moment? He's not. He's just making creep tumors, so it's not really like he has too much to do. I mean, with only 100 gas left on the map. GoOdy trying to mine out some of these minerals so his opponent can't get to them. Of course, GoOdy doesn't know exactly how much of a bank is left for Slavik, but I mean, you can make assumptions that he has a very low gas count because he's built all these infestors and broodlords all this game. He probably is getting very low on minerals, given that he's spent quite a lot on getting these various ling attacks that he's thrown out from time to time. So what GoOdy is doing, I do like that he's trying to get rid of some of these minerals, because if the case was that there still was a little bit of gas left over for Slavik and he didn't actually have too many minerals, you don't want the guy getting out a little bit more of a mineral count so that he can build some more infestors. That's not cool at all. And it looks like Slavik trying to focus down the tank here, but he's not actually going to get it. This one's still alive. GoOdy not able to repair the... Is he able to repair it? Yes, he is. He is able to repair all of these units. He's got a few more SCVs left over. 4 harvesters for each player. There are three of the... there are the 4... there are the 4 drones for Slavik. He's trying to get in a little bit more minerals. Not sure what he's going to do with that now that he only has 48 gas. The 4 SCVs for GoOdy. 2 of them are here. And there's 2 of them just there behind the Thor, trying to keep that alive. So GoOdy, he's trying to use up some of these Hellions here. Of course, he still has Hellions being produced. As we can see there, just 2 at a time. Of course, just continually queuing them up. Find some of the lings. If he can get rid of some of those, that would really help. Gets rid of the lings. Not too bad at all. Finds 1 drone, 2 drone. Is he going to get the others? 3. Gets a 3rd drone. We're down to 1 drone for Slavik, but he is trying to chase after these Hellions. If he can catch them, that'd be quite nice. No more harassment around the map, and nothing to sort of keep you occupied is very nice, but as we said, Slavik just slowly biding his time. I love how he's just taking his time. He's not going to say, you know what, we're going to go for it. You've only got 1 tank here. You've got 1 Thor. I'm not going to be stupid and just sort of try and run in straight to everything just in case something bad happens. So I'm going to take my time and just wait around until these infestors have more energy. Throw out infested Terrans, try and whittle down these tanks, and you know, try and win the game from there. So things have sort of, again, they've sort of slowed down for the moment. The Queens hunting around the map. Late game, it's not often you get to see 16 Queens, sorry, chasing after 3 Hellions around the map. But I'll tell you what, in this game it's happening, because this game is absolutely insane between these 2 huge macro players. Of course, GoOdy starting out with that very nice mech start right from the beginning. Of course, getting a whole bunch of tanks, Thors, all that sort of thing out, and pushing across the map, not doing too badly, but really just taking his time, not really attacking into Slavik too much. And Slavik doing his own macro thing, switching into the Infestors and the Broodlords at that mid-game stage there. Now he's trying to take out this Orbital Command if he can. Not really sure if he's going to... No, he's definitely not going to get it. I mean, it's going to get to the high ground, and then he's not going to be able to take it down from there unless he throws up more Infested Terrans. And I think that throwing out Infested Terrans at this point to take down Orbital Commands may not be the best usage of his resources. You could, if he could get the Queens, maybe take a Queen or something, or even throw out just like 1 Infested to soak up the first shot of the tank, then throw down, you know, 5, 6, 7 Infested Terrans on top of this tank. You can take out that tank, and then the only thing left over is a Thor and a bunch of Hellions. You can probably deal with that with these, even with just the mass Queens right now. So that's my opinion of where this game is sitting right about now. And here we go. It looks as if he is starting to throw out some of those Infested Terrans, and the wow, the Infestors actually caught out quite a bit there, losing some of their health. The tank does go down. Where is the Thor? Did the Thor get... No, the Thor is protected up at the top side here. So now, Infested Terrans are able to just freely roam through the middle section here, getting rid of these orbital commands. As we said, taking it very slowly is Slavik. He's not worried about getting rid of the units. He's just worried about getting rid of some of these buildings just at the current moment. Supply count sitting at 68 for Slavik. GoOdy, 91. He's got bunches of Hellions still continuing to be produced. He's up to 20 at the moment. And I don't know. I think the thought process from GoOdy is perhaps I can lure him into a really good situation where I can take down the Queens and then maybe get the Infestors from there. Perhaps with a, you know, with the Vikings on the ground. But I mean, there's there's still so many infestors out of the map. There's 12 of them out, which, you know, in the current metagame where a lot of Zergs will try and just bust out, you know, upwards of 30 infestors, it's kind of not a huge amount. But at this stage, where you're sitting on a supply of 68 and your opponent's on 108, it's actually quite a lot. So I'm still completely baffled as to how this is going to proceed from here. I really don't know how good he's going to be able to do this, just because of the fact that he now has virtually no Ravens. He's got 7 of them left, which I suppose is not virtually none, but it's certainly a low count. There come the Queens. They're just trying and take some damage there, just pushing out the Thor. One Queen taking the damage, and she gets transfused before you can even see that she takes any damage, and Slavik's slowly trying to push out the creep tumors here. Getting some of the Hellions, not too bad there. There's another fungal, some infested Terrans thrown out. The Queen's trying to do some damage, getting rid of 1, 2, 3, 4 of those Hellions, bringing Goody back down to 21. Not getting to his mass Hellion number that he wants to get to. And these infested Terrans, man, I mean, they have effectively been game winners. They're just pushing across. They're not really caring about anything that comes at them. With their three upgrades sitting there at 11 damage, almost per second. Not too bad at all. Just looking at what's going on in terms of mining. Slavik, 1 drone. Imagine being this guy. It's like Will Smith in I Am Legend. He's just 1 drone trying to survive in a world filled with Hellions and not too much else. But for Goody, he's got a couple of his SCVs. Where are they? He's got 3. I think they're just protecting the Thor. Nope. Don't know where they are, but he is trying to keep those SCVs around, perhaps just in case he needs to repair for a big battle. He's now split up his forces. We've got Vikings, Hellions, and the one lonely Thor up at his old natural base, which is effectively now deserted. He's also got the Hellions and Marines. 21 Marines here for Goody. Are you serious right now? I'm sorry, I totally missed that. But whoop, there is a Thor going down. The last Thor being picked up by a neuroparasite is now going to go down to the mass Queens, throwing their little spines at him. Down he goes. That is the last heavy effective gas unit there for Goody. He is now down to Ravens as his only gas component unit that is left over on the map. And I don't know, is Goody going to be able to do this? These Marines don't have stim. They don't have combat shields. They don't have any upgrades, of course. I mean, we're talking about Goody here. There is no way he's going to have have those upgrades at this stage of the game. Even now, 1 hour 39 minutes into this game, Goody does still don't have any bio-based upgrades, and I think that could hurt him a little bit here. Obviously not intentionally, sort of sitting there with no upgrades on the Marines. You don't really expect it to go to this sort of stage of a game, but when the fungals come out from these infestors on top of those Marines, you can guarantee that there isn't really going to be any way that those Marines are going to survive. And now the Hellions going to try and find something to do down at the bottom side of the map. They're going to try and sneak their way by. Are the infestors going to be able to catch them? Nope. It's the Queens that are in hot pursuit of the Hellions, and here they go. They're just trying to chase after them. The Hellions now going to get inside the natural base. Not sure what they're going to aim for here. Of course, Hellions not really the greatest against buildings. Of course, when you got 3 upgrades, it's quite nice, but when you're trying to contain, gets inside the base and then says, oh wait, I already destroyed this. But back at the opposite side, Hellions trying to push through. Infestors beautifully positioned here by Slavik. This guy has had a fantastic positioning this entire game, which I think may win him the game here, taking out the last remaining Hellions. These other Hellions are now stuck inside the main. Queens now trying to push up the ramp. They are now busting in. 15 Queens bearing down on you with their tentacles and all sorts of things spread out. Going to take down those Hellions if they try and retreat. You could probably just keep 2 of those Queens sitting there on the ramp. I don't know even why he's trying to retreat with them. But Vikings doing a little bit of damage, getting rid of some of these overlords, but again, not really sure how Goody is going to win this one. There are spore crawlers here just in case the Vikings try to pop over here and do any damage. Of course, we've got a total of 10 infestors left over from this entire game, which has been an insane game. 15 Queens and 5 Corruptors just in case anything pops out in the air. Meanwhile, for Goody, 28 Marines. I heard Marines are a pretty good unit, but I heard they're pretty bad when they don't have any upgrades at the 1 hour 41 minute mark. And Goody trying to do some damage here at the natural. The Hellions actually escaped. I'm not sure, again, why they were let out by Slavik, but he does catch them out. A couple of fungal growths, 1 and 2, getting rid of the majority of those Hellions, and the Queen's going to sweep through to clean up the rest of those, and I would not be surprised if Goody GG's this around about here, because realistically, you could be Marine King and try and kill with these Marines, and I'm pretty sure you couldn't even split up to save the day. And while Goody is valiantly trying to push through and do some more damage with his Hellions, the sort of realistic view of it is that the Ravens are the only thing that are actually going to be able to do anything here. But here come the Marines, not afraid of anything, just pushing through, killing off some of these creep tumors, the spore crawlers as well. Final battle coming up very soon, I think, folks. We got the Vikings dropping down on the ground now. Hellions trying to push the top side. Marines spread out through the bottom side of it as well, killing off the tumors. Here come the Infestors. 1 fungal growth. Are there going to be any more? No, Queen's getting a position. There's 1, 2. And the fungals are just decimating those Marines. They are going down quite quickly. Infested Terrans being also thrown out here, trying to micro some of the Queens around. Wow, Goody, he's actually killing off some of these units. It's down to 7 Queens, 7 Infestors. What is going on here? This is insane. I'm still not sure if he's going to be able to do it, though, because there are still a few Infested Terrans left over. There is a Hunter Sickle finally coming in there for Goody. I'm not sure what the battle plan here was. He did have a couple of turrets thrown down at the backside, and Goody has left the game. Not even a GG. I don't know, man. That was definitely GG worthy, but that is game. That is actually, I'm pretty sure, officially the first over 1 hour and 30-minute game that I've cast, so that was pretty fun. Hope you all had a lot of fun casting, and I know that went on for quite a long time. Again, if you stuck around for the whole thing, I love you. Please post a comment to say that you stuck around and you were the first one to do it. Yeah, hopefully we'll have some more hot stuff coming up very soon, i.e. probably tomorrow. And also we'll have more Dota stuff on my live stream, so you can catch me there at twitch.tv/DuckvilleLol. Hope you all enjoyed this game. It was a lot of fun casting Goody against FXOSlavik here on Shakuras. I'll speak to you later.